In this video, I will demonstrate how Microsoft's Power BI can be used by digital marketing analysts to create insightful, actionable reports which combine data from a variety of sources pertaining to digital marketing measurement. Analysts make use of a variety of in-house and third-party systems for their digital marketing initiatives, including email, social media, search engine marketing, and the web. I start my demo by using Power Query to pull in some of my data. Any digital marketing analyst will tell you that the traditional means, cut and paste, has been the bane of their existence. Power Query offers a solution. Power Query supports a structured import process and includes the ability to perform transformations on the data during the import process. First, let's import data with results for web marketing campaigns. This data is stored on-premise in SQL Server. I have created a data management gateway in the Power BI Admin Center. This allows my on-premise data to be visible in Power BI, as well as providing an OData feed for use in Power Query. I'll copy the OData feed URL to the clipboard. On the Get External Data panel, I open From Other Sources and select From OData Feed. After I submit the URL, Power Query shows me the data tables exposed by the feed. I select the liveball table. The query editor shows me a sampling of data from all of the available columns. While here, let's select the columns of interest, right-click and select Remove Other Columns. Let's also change these columns, which are date-time in the database, to the date type. As the next phase of my analysis will be performed using Power Pivot, I will change the load settings to Load to Data Model. Let's switch to Power Pivot and have a look. I see that I got back about 120,000 rows of data. The next dataset I need for my analysis contains metrics of the web traffic which resulted from my marketing campaigns. Google Analytics provides me with this data. To get this data into Power Query, I'll use an OData bridge that I have been developing. First, I use the Shuffle Point Query tool to create a query. Then I ask for an OData feed URL. I paste that into Power Query and preview the data. I rename the query and send the results to the data model. Next, I'll import data from Bronto, an email marketing automation platform being used for this project. I'll use my OData bridge again, but this time I will paste in the query expression. Setting the third argument false disables a parallel load feature of Power Query, and I found that doing so avoids sorting anomalies. The final set of data I want contains healthcare demographics. This data is from the Dartmouth Atlas of Healthcare. Power Query can easily consume this data. I just copy the URL for the Excel file of interest and then in Power Query select From the Web and paste in the URL. I tell Power Query to treat the first row as headers. I filter in the desired columns. The next thing I'll do is go into Power Pivot and establish any relationships between the datasets. Finally, I make a couple of annotations to the data model to support using this data in Office 365, which I'll demonstrate shortly. Let's take a look at what I have done with the data. I've run lots more queries. Most of them were done using a Power Query function, which makes use of a parameters table and a queries table. Power Query tables can be used both in regular Excel sheets and also in the new Power View visualization feature. Power Map lets you juice up geolocation data by creating 3D map flyovers. For this demo, I'll use two XML files. One contains the locations of about 24 properties. Each property has its own website. The second file contains web traffic data for each of these sites. First, I'll bring in the file with the properties and send it to the data model. Let's display this data with bubbles in Power Map. Next, I'll bring in the web traffic file. Note that I fixed the date type for the date column. In Power Pivot, I will create a date-time column, which combines the date and hour columns. This will drive the timeline animation in the Power Map. Back in Power Map, I select my existing tour and add a new layer to display the traffic data. I use page views for height and the profile for the category. To slow down the animation, I set the duration to 20 seconds. When I play it, I observe that in the vicinity of a property, there is a lot of web traffic to the corresponding property. However, in the Northeast, where there are no properties cited, I observe that people are visiting the websites of all of the different properties. Power BI for Office 365 allows you to share both your insights and also the data used to gain those insights. One of the approaches which Power Query in Office 365 promotes is data curation. Your data gurus can gather and organize what is important, and others make use of this curated data, both by searching for shared queries and by using natural language search on shared data models. I'll begin by switching back to Power Query, where I will share all of the queries which I had created. Let's start a new workbook in Excel. In Power Query, I perform an online search. I will limit my search to my shared queries. The search results show the matches in my shared queries. When I mouse over an item, I get information about the data, including a tabular preview and a list of the data sources. I can add a query to my current workbook, or I can edit the query. Power Q&A is, in my opinion, the most important and innovative part of Power BI. With it, you can ask questions in natural language, and Power Q&A will attempt to answer your query with the relevant data. Before Q&A can be used, workbooks with data need to be uploaded and configured for Q&A. Now, I'll try asking Q&A some questions. My marketing analyses and reports, when placed in Power BI sites, become searchable and viewable by colleagues and partners. The Excel Web Viewer does an amazing job of recreating the interactive experience. Selection, tooltips, drill downs, and slicers all behave correctly. The Power BI Windows Store app provides live mobile access to your Power BI site. Use touch to interact with the visualizations and perform filtering, sorting, and highlighting. I think it's hard to overstate the significance of the opportunity that Power BI has for digital marketing data analysts. The oft-overused phrase game changer is justified in this case. Thank you again for watching, and I hope you take some time to sign up for the Office 365 Power BI preview. You will be glad you did.